Howdy, welcome to Build Interwebz 6. In this video we are going to continue the flower site mockup and we're going to get the banner right. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is throw the background image on the banner div. And we'll also give it a height because there's nothing inside it, so it doesn't have a height yet, and the banner background wouldn't show. When we save the style sheet and refresh the browser, we can see that we have the orange background image on there now. Now let's get this text right. Now first let's talk about the banner inner. Just like the header inner, we're going to do banner inner of, I think it's width 108 pixels. We're going to give it a margin 0 auto to center it. And let's give it a position relative. And I'll tell you why in 1 minute. So now we can start throwing some basic styles for the banner text. So there's banner inner P. Now let's talk about these styles. We want to position these absolutely, okay, for starters. So we got these 3 lines of text here, and we are going to pin them exactly where we want them, using like left 10, top 10. That would move it left 10 pixels and top 10 pixels when you do position absolute. It'll move it left 10 pixels and down 10 pixels. It pushes it from that direction. So when you're doing position absolute, you do left 10 pixels, it'll push it 10 pixels from the left. You do top 10 pixels, it'll push it 10 pixels from the top. Now, position absolute does not work unless the parent element, which in this case is banner inner, has a position of relative or absolute. It's kind of a silly rule, but you get used to it. Okay, so now we can start styling the individual lines. Like this, and we can say left 1 pixel, top 1 pixel for starters. And also, I think I forgot to tell you how we got these. Okay, so in banner inner P, we want to give all of them the same color for starters. We'll override it on the large blooming text, and we'll give it Times New Roman. How do we know what color and what font family to use? Okay, in Photoshop, see if you have the character panel open. If you don't, go to Window, Character. Okay, now in Photoshop, hit T for the text tool. Click on your text. Spring's almost here. Now look in your character panel. The first field there tells you what font is being used, and then we can double click the color box and copy the hex value in the very bottom. So the hex value is our color, and the font family is Times New Roman. We'll give it a couple fallbacks as well. Okay, when we refresh our browser, you can see we have this white color, and everything is positioned absolute on top of each other because all of them have left 1, top 1, the very same position. Now, let us line Photoshop up with the browser. We're going to use the logo. So I'm lining the logo in my browser up with the logo in Photoshop, okay? Now you can see right away that the banner needs some top margin. So I'm going to say banner margin 10 pixels top. I'm going to refresh. Oh dear. I'm going to refresh, see how that looks. And now it's off a little bit. So right click the banner, do inspect element, and now you have your dev tools in the bottom. Now left click twice inside the margin numbers, and now highlight your cursor over the first number, and then you can hit up to increase the margin. Now flip back to your comp and see how it is. Mine was a little too much, so I'm going to drop it back a little bit. And you keep doing that, you keep flipping back to your comp until you get the number that's correct, and you copy that, and then you paste that into your style sheet. Now you can refresh. Okay. And let's see what we're doing here. My dog was getting disgruntled. Okay. Right click your text, inspect element, and we have these starter styles here. So now I'm going to move my starter styles, and we're just going to get these approximately right. Because the font size isn't right, there's no point in getting them precise yet, but we can just do these for starters. Something like that. Now we can add our, you can't see this, can you? We can add a font size, like 13 pixels for starters, and then do shift up to increase it quite a bit. And now these styles are okay for me for starters. Similarly, I'm going to do the same thing in banner line 2. I'm going to throw a font size in there and increase it. And now the position gets messed up when I increase the font size, so I'm going to drop the position a little bit as well. Okay, that's good enough for this vid. I've done this video 3 times because the sound keeps not recording. I don't want to make this too long because I think it has to do with the length of the video messing everything up. Okay. So the last thing we want to do is get this blooming text right. Okay. So I got my little placeholder positions in there. Okay, so this is a Google font. First thing you want to do, it's a Google font called Yellowtail. First thing you want to do is go to Google and Google Fonts Yellowtail. This is your result. Click on the first result there. It'll take you to this page. And on the top right corner, click Open Yellowtail in Google Fonts. It will take you to this page. Scroll down to number 3 and click the At Import tab. Copy this line and drop it in as the first line of your style sheet. Okay. Now we can use this last word, or it could be several words, as a font family name. So now in banner line 3, we can say font family Yellowtail. And I'm going to drop a couple fallbacks in there as well. Times New Roman, Georgia, Serif. Alright. Now when we refresh, it still is very small, but you can see that we have the script in there, the Yellowtail script. So we use Google Fonts because any kind of imported font like Google Font or Typekit or something like that will let you get away from those bland default web fonts. There are about 10 of them or something like that, and they kind of all suck. We're using Google Font instead of hosting it ourselves because it's faster for the user. We can rely on Google's content delivery networks, which just means they have a lot of servers closer to the user than we do because we only have one server. Okay. So let's add a font size on that guy. That's just a starter font size. As you mess with the font size, you'll have to mess with the position. So something like this. I think it still needs to be quite a bit larger. Yeah. So something like this is close to the comp. I'm not going to get it perfect because I don't want this video to get too long. you should get it perfect. Okay, now in Photoshop, hit T for your type tool, say OK, substitute that, no problem. Then click your color, copy your hex value, and add that to your style sheet. Now to get that text shadow that the comp has, just copy this line for now. We will go over all the wonderful text shadow options in a future video. Yeah, this is the line we want. Just copy and paste this for now. When we refresh, it looks good. Okay, so that banner is good. So now we just got to do the rest of the site. We shall do that in the next video.